This morning, the story of the blind beggar Bartimeus of Jericho. Blind Bartimeus. And the miracle, he receives a new vision. And then he finds the way. Then he finds the way of salvation. Mark tells us, after the miracle, Bartimeus followed Jesus along the way. The way has got a special meaning. The way in Greek, hodos. As you know, the first Christians were called the followers of the way. We Christians are followers of the way, Jesus the way. So Mark tells us, after the miracle, having a new vision, he went along with Jesus to Jerusalem and beyond. He became a disciple. Have you noticed? In the Synoptic Gospel, here is the only place where the one who received the miracle is mentioned by name. Bartimeus, son of Timaeus. In the Gospel of John, of course, Lazarus. But no other place you find the name of the one who received the miracle. Because for Mark and the people of that time, Bartimeus was still alive. Bartimeus, son of Timaeus, there he is. And one of the disciples. So he was well known to the first Christian community. That's why the name is mentioned very clearly. And please note, if you're interested, in the Gospel of Mark, you'll find something very interesting wherever he presents a theme. Here is the Lord on the way to Jerusalem, and now he has arrived in Jericho, and a few more miles to Jerusalem. A 3 hours walk from Jericho to Jerusalem. And note that Mark, what the scholars will call the Markan sandwich, he starts this narrative with the miracle of the Lord healing another blind man. Do you remember the blind man of Bethsaida? And here is another miracle, the blind man of Jericho, Bartimeus. In between, lot of things happen. The lessons in discipleship. The lessons in discipleship. The last one is the conclusion. Who is a real disciple? Be like Bartimeus. Before that, let us start with the first one, the first miracle, the miracle of the Lord healing the blind man of Bethsaida. If you know the scripture, you know what is special about that miracle. Good to study scripture. You understand a lot about life and the ways of God. In that miracle, you will find the healing is gradual. The man says, "Oh, I can't see clearly. I can see people walking like trees. No, I can't see clearly." And straight away, Mark is presenting the story of the disciples with Peter, and there's the question, who do you say I am? Peter, the disciples, or with perfect sight? But Mark is showing us Peter and his fellow disciples, they have only partial sight. Why partial? Peter said, "You are the Son of God, Jesus. You are the Son of God, the Messiah." But his sight wasn't complete. he was really blind. Then comes the next, remember the Sundays, the last few Sundays, the following, then the disciples, again they were blind, discussing who is the greatest among us. Again blind. The Lord talking about the cross and the suffering, and there they are discussing who is the greatest among us. Then last Sunday, the two brothers, James and John, asking the Lord, what is our place in your kingdom? Who will be the prime minister and the chancellor? So tell us. In our case, don't forget us. We are brothers. Give us some good place. Again blind. Again blind. The Lord talking about suffering, and they are discussing, where are we going to be in your kingdom? Now look at Bartimeus. Look at Bartimeus. Here are the four elements of discipleship. First of all, here Bartimeus recognizes the Messiah. Physically blind, but inside, deep, perfect insight, here is the Messiah. I suppose he knew the scripture. First reading. That when the Messiah would come, there would be the miracle of the blind will see, the lame will walk. And I hear all the stories. My hearing is perfect. I hear all the stories. I am blind, but the Lord is passing by this way. The one who can heal the sick and the lame walk is passing by. And there he is screaming, Jesus, Son of David, the messianic title. Have mercy on me. Recognizing the Messiah, first step in discipleship. Dear friends, you and me, do we recognize the Messiah? Looking at the cross, we know who he is. Don't we? Looking at the cross, we know who is on the cross. But do we, it's a different question, do I really recognize him? That's a different level. The disciples on the way to Emmaus, there Jesus was walking beside them, but they did not recognize him. Looking at the cross, do you really recognize him? That's a very serious question. Keep on looking at the cross. One day, I may recognize him. So deep knowledge. Understanding the Lord from the Bible, from the scripture, from the homilies, that's all very partial. The disciples, 3 years walking with him, 3 years, long time, watching all those miracles, listening to all the words of Jesus. Still, they were blind. They did not recognize. That's why when the moment came, they all ran for their life. Recognition came only after the resurrection and the Pentecost. So again, the question for you and me is, do I recognize him? What I mean to say is, just knowing the scripture or coming to Mass or giving homilies as I do, these things may not help me or you. These things may not help. Practices won't help. Traditions won't help. Knowing anything by heart, none of those things may. It is more about a relationship. Friendship with the God, like Abraham, Moses, and Adam, walking with God, having a friendship with Him. A friendship. God, is God your friend? Is God somebody far away, aloof and distant? Or God is your friend? When you say, Lord is my shepherd, do you mean it? The Lord is my shepherd, the one who carries me all the time. If Lord is your shepherd and you feel, He means everything to you, He's always carrying you 24/7 all the time, then God is your friend. The best way to test is, how much does He mean to you in your life and very close to you? I keep on saying, forget about prayer books. You don't need a prayer book. You don't need times for prayer. Some say, oh, I missed my morning prayer. I missed my evening prayer. Oh, forget about prayer times. Prayer is more of this deep inner relationship. Being online, always on the Wi-Fi, connected, and always connected, never off, always connected. In every moment you are connected, you feel He is beside me. In life, in death, He is beside me. In the valleys of darkness, He is beside me. In my deathbed, He is right beside me. If that is how my relationship with God is yours too, then you have recognized Him, the Messiah. The second one, the third, the fourth, the second one is Bartimeus acknowledges his need. When you are aware of your need for God, you are on the way to discipleship. The third one is Bartimeus hears the call of Jesus. You recognize the Messiah and you hear Him calling your name all the time. Calling your name all the time. Agnes, calling your name. John, calling your name. Mark, calling your name. David, calling your name. You hear His call all the time. All the time, relationship. The last one is, you're ready to walk with Him all the way to Calvary and beyond. You're ready to, because you have seen the full story. You have recognized Him. You have listened to His call. And you know your need for Him. And then you are ready to walk all the way to the valleys of darkness, through suffering, through sorrow. You're always ready to walk with Him all the way to the cross and beyond. Just one more point before I close. About prayer again. If you ever struggle with the prayer, have only one prayer, the prayer of Bartimeus. I say, don't put away all your prayer books. The best prayer in the world is the prayer of this blind beggar. Jesus, Son of David, Kyrie eleison. We sang at the beginning of the Mass, don't we? Every Mass, Jesus, Kyrie eleison, have mercy on me. The same prayer in the parable of the Pharisee and the sinner. And the sinner says, Lord, have mercy on me, a sinner. This is called the Jesus prayer. The only prayer you need in life and death. When you die too, in your deathbed, you have only this prayer you need. Jesus, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner.